Fariha, awesome. Have you shared the link? Can we start the discussion, inshallah?
Yeah, Faria is sharing the link,
Okay.
inshallah, for
When
the
she is
YouTube live stream.
when she is done, we can start, inshallah, the discussion. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. لا إله إلا أنت سبحانك إني كنت من الظالمين. ربنا ظلمنا أنفسنا وإن لم تغفر لنا وترحمنا لنكونن من الخاسرين. ربي أني مسني الضر وأنت أرحم الراحمين. لا حول ولا قوة إلا بالله العلي العظيم. اللهم علمنا ما ينفعنا وانفعنا بما علمتنا وزدنا علما وارنا الحق حقا وارزقنا اتباعه وارنا الباطل باطلا وارزقنا اجتنابه وصل اللهم على محمد وعلى آله وأصحابه وأتباعه وسلم والحمد لله رب العالمين. Amin. The moderator, please take up the mic.
Thank you, Brother Ali. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Assalamu alaikum, everyone. Alhamdulillah. We are now on the 22nd session of the topic of Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim, which is in the name of God, the Merciful, the Compassionate. So, Alhamdulillah, we have come a long way at this stage since we are towards the end of the fourth mystery. And as if we can recall a little bit, I know we had a gap in between for Eid, and there was some other discussions that were going on. So hopefully most of you were probably able to listen to them and listen to them, join them, take part in them. So now we are concentrating again in terms of how the author is presenting, seeing what in the name of God, as the author started basically initially in the first mystery, basically on the verse that, which I'm paraphrasing, where hey chiefs, here is a letter worthy of worship that comes to me, and it is worth paying attention to. So this letter states in the name of God, the Merciful, the Compassionate. So which is what we are trying to pay attention to this, as we are being the recipients of this letter, of this message. And it's telling us to pay attention to this phrase, in the name of God, the most gracious, the most merciful. So just to recap a little bit, as I was stating in the first mystery, as the author was showing that there are three stamps, as he puts it, that you look at it from, when you look at the creation, interact with it, you see that everything is coming in from, it states that, hey, I'm not here by myself, but my existence has been purposefully given to me. So that was how the universe declares, everything in the universe introduces itself to conscious human beings who are looking and observing, right? So, and you see that everything in the universe is basically helping each other out. There is mutual assistance, as the author was phrasing it. There is cooperation. So for example, in the universe, I am living here, I'm breathing the air, I am drinking water. So everything that I interact with, there is, I'm interacting with the universe. So there is this cooperation between every created beings, so like the birds come in, they chirp, and they entertain us. The flowers are blooming, so that everything is serving their purpose. So that shows that they're like they're out there specifically, especially, and they cannot be there by themselves. And then in terms of the second part of how we can see the aspect of everything that is there is working so uh, harmoniously, and everything is working in such a manner that is arranged such a way that you cannot say that these things are randomly happening or coming by chance or accidentally, because the things are just working in a wonderful, marvelous fashion. You know, you enjoy everything that, you know, in the seasons that are changing, you know that everything, if you go out, you know, like you are wearing warm clothes or cold clothes, you have those senses and abilities within you to realize, hey, this is something, I'm doing something right, I'm doing something wrong. So all those things are in a way arranged in such a way that there's a particular order that is there that you follow, right? So if I want to cook some food, I cut some vegetables and I uh, you know, light up the fire and put them in there and they start cooking. So there is an order that is purposefully there as well for me to follow. So all these things are just there for me to realize, interact with, and see that, hey, you know, who and what is arranging these things out there for me. So in a in a sense, they are recalling to me that, hey, this phrase comes into the picture in the name of God, the merciful and the compassionate. And I can see those, if you break up this phrase into different aspects of, like, in the name of God, the merciful, the compassionate, those things can be experienced in terms of my interaction and relation with how the things are here in the universe. And then we further delved into, you know, how we can see the divine mercy being manifested all over the earth, and which is what is the predominant thing that is out there for me to interact with. And I am totally immersed in that mercy, or the quality of mercy, where everything from my existence to the existence of the whole universe is just pure mercy that I am engaging myself in. And there were some discussion in terms of how we can, you know, a practical way of, you know, when we, you know, anything that we start doing, as we've been taught as kids, but we are like no longer 5 years old. So our understanding has to, you know, improve with our improved understanding and comprehension, and our growing up along, you know, with that understanding, that now we can see with, you know, our developed consciousness and awareness, how the things are really coming for me and serving me, assisting me in terms of what I am engaging with, to, you know, to, so whatever act or whatever work I do, you know, like we would say, hey, before eating, yeah, in the name, Bismillah, Rahman, Rahim, in the name of God. Or before starting, let's say, my typing an essay or a paper, I would say Bismillah, Rahman, Rahim. So now I can recall and see that, hey, this event, everything that is being presented to me, the food that I'm eating, all that is there, not just randomly, not by itself. It's not, but there is somebody who is arranging all these things out there for me to engage with, to enjoy and cherish the mercy that is surrounding me. So for example, in the food, the cherish the taste and the, you know, the satisfaction that through the food that I'm getting, but I know that is not the food that is the source of that feeling of happiness or the feeling of my satisfaction, but the one who makes, who is the owner, the administrator, the merciful one who is setting up all this stage for me, presenting me with the gifts and the bounties that I am able to enjoy, that merciful quality with that the universe is presenting to me through the universe that is presented to me. So now we will go on and see, like, I will go continue with the last two paragraphs of the fourth mystery. And I think last time we had discussed this fourth mystery where we were looking at the what that meant, that within the manifestation of divine unity within boundless multiplicity. So everything that is out there and innumerable things that are out there, and all of them point to that they are coming from the single source, that everything shows that they are emanating and are coming in from that single source that is, showing or displaying all those qualities to us. So now the highlighted text that is there, we'll start that, Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. So furthermore, a truly captivating design, shining light, agreeable sweetness, pleasing beauty, and powerful truth, which is the stamp of divine mercy and seal of divine compassion, has been placed on the stamp of divine oneness in order to direct gazes towards it and attract hearts. So a captivating design, shining light, agreeable sweetness, pleasing beauty, and powerful truth, which is the stamp of divine mercy and seal of divine compassion, has been placed on the stamp of divine oneness in order to direct gazes towards it and attract hearts. Yes, it is the strength of that mercy that attracts the gazes of conscious beings. The strength of that mercy that attracts the gazes of conscious beings draws them to it and causes them to reach the seal of oneness and to observe the single one, and from that to truly manifest the address of "You alone do we worship, and from you alone do we seek help." It is because in the name of God, the merciful, the compassionate, is the index of Surah al-Fatiha and a concise summary of the Qur'an, that it is the sign and interpreter of this mighty mystery. So the person who clasps it, or who takes hold of it, grabs it, may travel through the levels of divine mercy. So the person who grabs this understanding of in the name of God, the merciful, the compassionate, can travel through the levels of divine mercy. That is the person who causes this interpreter to speak, may learn about the mysteries of divine mercy and behold the lights of divine compassion and divine pity. All right, so let's try to work on these two paragraphs, inshallah. So I know we discussed last time about how we were seeing that it is not just like from my individual needs, I realize that everything else is also, everybody else's needs is also being fulfilled. And I take on all the multiplicity of the beings around there, the innumerable things that are out there. All together, they are in need of their sustenance. So including myself, I take and realize that everything around me, which is why I include in my prayer or in my supplication of you alone do we worship, and from you alone do we seek help. In terms of how much I realize, my createdness and the createdness of every other thing around me, that they are all dependent or are contingent upon the single source, who is the one, the source, absolute source of existence, must be the source who is presenting to me all these qualities that I experience. So this is the source that I would seek, because everything else in the universe is not, I can see that they are not the source of those qualities. So that the source that I see as the most merciful one is the one that I am willingly, I seek to worship. So you alone do we worship, along with everything else. I would say that my being, as well as everything else, we are all dependent on you, that you are the source of our well-being. You are the source of the qualities, the mercifulness, the compassionateness, the knowledge, the power, the form, the beauty, whatever I experience. You alone are the source worthy of worship, and from you do we seek help. So, just to take a break right now and see if anybody wants to add to this discussion, summary, comment. I see somebody's mic is on. So it would be good if, Mammoth, if you can mute yourself, or if you want to speak, just indicate that, with raising your hand. So that would be a better approach. And there's the option of also putting the comments in the chat. So if you have to say something, make a comment, please raise your hand, and we will call you based on whoever raises their hands first, and we can listen to you and hear your ideas and comments as well. So one of my questions is, as the author puts it, like in terms of there is this stamp of divine oneness in order to direct the gazes towards it and attract hearts. So something has to be out there, like you see that there is acts going on, and if you see the act as the act has to be there for me to conclude or see that there must be an actor. So all the acts that I see, there is the qualities that are being manifested, and let's say the act of mercy has to be there for me to be attracted to it. So this is how we human beings are. We are, we like to be treated in a kind way, in a merciful way. We like to, we don't like harshness. We don't like, something that is hard on us, but we like to be treated in a gentle, kind, merciful way. Even our learning that we are doing, we want it to be in a merciful kind of way. Hey, please God, let me learn this don't put me in a situation that I will not be able to bear, but it should be something that is, something that I can bear, and then should be an easy way for me to learn. So that is how I would like to interact with the mercy. And if you look at the universe, we see that everything, the way the order is set up, the way the things are coming into existence, especially right now in this weather, at least in the United States or East Coast, where we see that there are different kinds of, flowers are coming up. There's different kind of produce and fruits and vegetables that I see. I see, like, for example, a lot of, let's pick an example, strawberries are amazingly coming right now in this season. So there is this things that with the vibrant colors and with their smell and taste, and we get attracted to that. It takes that action or that display or that demonstration brings our attention to it, and we get attached, and we conscious beings, we may, even though we may not be that conscious in terms of, hey, who is presenting or demonstrating this, but those things definitely take our attention. So I like the phrasing that as the author says, that the strength of that mercy that attracts the gazes of conscious beings draws those conscious beings to that. And the second part says, and causes them. So the conscious beings are supposed to question and wonder, hey, why is this thing being presented to me, displayed to me, demonstrating to me, all this mercy that is being displayed. I like this treatment of, let's say, the strawberries and the fragrance of the strawberries and my tasting and eating of the strawberries. All this is presented to me. What is the source behind all these, enjoyment that I'm having, the taste that I'm having? What could be, why is there the existence of strawberries there for me? Like, it looks like somebody wants me to enjoy. That's how, with the strawberries, the smell tells me. I mean, it's just so attractive that when I smell it, I go and, hey, let me get this and let me wash them up and eat them. They are very inviting and welcoming to me. But is it the strawberry themselves could be the source of that? Or, as a conscious being, I am expected to see, who is the actual presenter of this for me. And my consciousness should guide me and lead me that, hey, this is coming from the source that is the one who is the single source, or the one who is demonstrating this act of mercy, because that I am engaging with the act of mercy. So even the strawberry, the eating is, if I really think about it, it is something I am pleased with, I like, I enjoy it, and that is what mercy is, the demonstration of what mercy is to me. So, and let's say, there are multiple examples you can think of. Let's say you're in your family and, maybe you have a kid, and the kid is, entertaining you with, his little chants. So who is actually presenting all these situations? Who is presenting you with this setup of this family member, this child, or maybe the parent? Who can be the source behind that? What is this? You experience the mercy of your mom, and you say, hey, like, wow, this is so kind and generous, the way I am being treated, through my mom. But this quality of mercy, where actually is it coming from? Can it come from the body, or the matter, or the material, or there must be some source that cannot be? It's definitely not the material body. I can easily conclude that. So what can it be? Where can I go? So that leads me to seeing that there must be some source behind it, that must be the absolute, not of the nature of the manifested or the qualities that I experience here, because these qualities are nothing but reflections or manifestations of the the actual actor who is displaying or demonstrating all these acts. So yeah, so I was asking what my, with this understanding and seeing that everything is, coming about in the name of God, the merciful, the compassionate. So how does this, when the author says this is the index of Surah al-Fatiha, so we know that Surah al-Fatiha traditionally in the scripture is, like, it's said to be a summary as well, a comprehensive understanding of how the human being or human state, kind of declares by their interaction with all this mercy and compassionateness that we see in the universe, we show the sign of gratefulness. Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen. I am very thankful and grateful to the Lord of the universe, the one who is demonstrating this mercy and compassion to me. So how does that, this phrase, in the name of God, the merciful, the compassionate, become the index of that acknowledgement of the human condition, of the beings, that, every creation, along with me, along with the whole creation, we are declaring that, we are really grateful to you, and you alone are do we seek help from. You alone are the one, we worship and we seek help. So that is one of my questions. If anybody wants to comment on that, like, what does it mean to be an index? Because index is something, hey, you can refer to, and then you go back, it should point you to something in detail, give you that understanding, like, for example, the table of index, hey, if I'm looking for this particular topic, I would see where is it that in the index, and I would go to what that index points to get the actual definition, like the definition or the actual understanding of what that index or that subject that I would go to. So I would think it's a good time for me to pause and hear from you guys. If anybody wants to chime in. So I think Faria, you want to say something?
Sure, I can start. Thank you, Asim, for this beautiful, comprehensive summary of this human journey of being aware of, in the name of God, the merciful, the compassionate. And I'm not going to directly answer the question, but it's amazing how, like, even this paragraph and how you present it, it's really walking me through the human journey where I observe things around me, where I am conscious of my experiences. And for example, let's say having this feeling of mercy or compassion towards things and creation. And, it's also interesting how the author uses the word here, what attracts the heart, because at the end of the day, the human being needs to be satisfied. The heart needs to be satisfied in terms of getting to know what truly satisfies me. So really the question is, what satisfies my need? And so obviously everything is transient. The strawberry itself it need to be sustained, created. So truly the one that's setting up this banquet for me, or this universe, the stage itself, is the one that's satisfying me. So that was very refreshing. And the question that you asked about this Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim, in the name of God, the Merciful, the Compassionate, being the index of Surah al-Fatiha, it seems as if I am in a state of mode of just acknowledgement. Like everything that I'm interacting with, I must acknowledge something. There must be a conclusion that I reach to, which really truly satisfies me. And so so this index acts as a sign or interpreter in terms of, it's almost like if I'm in recognition of this source of existence, or being able to see divine oneness, just like the author is mentioning here, within a set of multiplicity, or within like how everything is interconnected and seemingly look dependent on each other, yet they're all independently coming into existence, or they're in need to be sustained, right? Not from anything of this universe, but by an absolute being. And so it's almost that this recognition of Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim becomes like a spokesperson, or something that points me to the whole summary of what is it that I'm supposed to do? How is it that I'm supposed to fulfill the purpose of my existence? So being aware or recognizing Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim in all my interactions in the universe helps me fulfill the purpose of my existence. And the author says it beautifully at the end, where he says that, and the person who causes this interpreter to speak may learn about the mysteries of divine mercy and behold the lights of divine compassion and pity. So it's a matter of really me interacting and at every moment, and also acknowledging what is it that truly satisfies my heart. So thank you.
Yeah, thank you for adding that. So what I want to add also to what you said, like, so this index, as he says, in the name of God, the merciful and the compassionate, it's like it's a spokesperson, or I would say like a key to a treasure, a chest treasure, let's say. So I'm holding like a key because I know that this is coming from in his name, and there is the merciful, the compassionate treating me with this. Now I take this key and as the index, take it as the index, and I open up a whole chest of treasure, for example, as an analogy. And then this chest of treasure is, which are all the, this key kind of opens up all the other qualities that I am looking for, because these are like the enwrapping qualities, mercy and compassionateness, everything kind of fits into these particular qualities, like justice, beauty, yeah, you name it. Yeah, love, and the shape, form, everything being purposefully being given. So all that fits within the merciful and compassionate umbrella, sort of. And with this phrase, you kind of start uncovering, opening up the treasure of all these other amazing things that you discover. Hey, your Lord is, like gracious, the generous one. He's the source of, the power that I see, that he's the one, I am the one who can rely on, or he's the one that, is able to forgive all my misunderstandings, or he is the one who can give me the clarity. So with this name, in the name of God, the merciful, the compassionate, I can open up that treasure chest, so to speak, if you say. And that is how the author says that it's a concise summary of the Qur'an, that is the sign and interpreter of this mighty mystery. So whoever grasps or holds this particular phrase, takes it with him, hey, I understand, I realize, consciously, I'm aware that this is coming from, in his name, am I, opening up the chest. So if I'm eating the strawberry with the name, in the name of God, the merciful, the compassionate, I open up the chest of the, in the strawberry and start discovering all, different qualities. It starts talking to me in terms of, hey, whoever is demonstrating through the strawberry, I can realize the whole chest or the multitude of qualities, that is being presented to me from my source of existence.
That's interesting, because I like this whole part about the key, and then the key is used to open a treasure, and you're saying that once you open the treasure, you see more qualities in various shapes and form. And this connects really well with the verse that was presented just prior to this paragraph about, and among his signs is the creation of the heavens and the earth, and the variations in your languages and in your colors. So it's pretty much a summary of what we observe within us, like you were saying, that several shapes, forms, color, taste. And so we're able to connect everything as pointing to a single source of existence. So that was exciting, at least on my end. Thank you.
Alhamdulillah, perfect. Is there anybody else who would like to comment, share their reflections? That would be great. Let's try to be interactive. And if there's something that, you have a question, or because I think we are, alhamdulillah, on a very beautiful journey of discovery. of how the mercifulness and compassionateness that we are interacting with. So if there is nothing on this fourth mystery, I think I propose we can move on to the fifth mystery. If everybody is fine with that, I will give it in a few seconds to see if anybody wants to say anything. Otherwise, I will move on to the fifth mystery. Brother Ali, please go ahead.
Thank you. I mean, you covered the subject perfectly. I wanted to add something in order to communicate so that the discussion will be alive. The Quran keeps saying that we created the heavens and the earth. It means we created the universe with truth. It means there's no doubt. There is no confusion. You can definitely see that the universe is declaring the reality of its own existence. What is it? There are only two options for human mind to accept. I don't think anybody who has a sane reasonable understanding as a human being can have a third option for the existence of the universe. One is either the universe with its all smallest particles are giving existence to themselves and communicating within themselves and coming up as a conclusion, this universe, which is so perfectly captivating design and agreeable communication between the creations and the pleasing beauty, as the text says, sweetness, that you see that everything is arranged in such a way that the people feel comfortable about it and relaxed. And the pleasure of life is out there. Any conscious being can understand that this option, the particles of the universe, cannot be the source of their existence and cannot communicate within themselves and cannot come up with the conclusion of this universe as we observe it. Of course, the other alternative to this unacceptable, irrational option for the explanation of the existence of the universe is to say that it is the result of an act of a creator who has preferred or willed to create this universe and arranged everything accordingly. So we understand that our human feelings, which is called here any conscious being's heart, says, yeah, I think there must be something as the cause of existence of this universe who can only be a one, not more than one, absolute one. So absolute cannot be more than one. An absolute being, an infinite being, we cannot describe it because it is not within the universe and it is not a part of the universe, but we understand logically that there must be such a being. So when we conclude this, if we have a comfortable heart about this conclusion, it means our feelings and including our rationality, human reasoning, intelligence, satisfied with this conclusion, then the relationship between my acknowledging this reality, and the one who is acknowledged or whose existence is acknowledged must have a communication. It means there must be a communication between me and the source of my existence. Therefore, the source of the existence of everything in the universe. How can I do that? I have to acknowledge it. So the Quran comes and says, yes, under the witnessing of the universe, you could see what the reality is, what the truth is, and act accordingly. It means communicate with the source of your existence because you are given this sense of communication. Whatever happens around you, you either confirm it or reject it. You may be happy with it or you may be displeased with it, unhappy with it. You communicate with it, you say yes or no, no, there should be like this one, or it shouldn't happen in this way. We always communicate. So why should I not communicate with my creator? When I come to this conclusion, I say, the Quran says, this is the core of the whole reason why I am speaking to you, why I am giving all this information, all this guidance for you, is to come to the conclusion that you should acknowledge by saying, you alone, we worship. Of course, we are expected to understand you alone means the creator, the owner of the universe. But we worship, we means everything that I can see in the universe. It means we all acknowledge you, we all declare you, and no one can see any other sign other than what the truth, the reality of the universe declares out outside there in their existence. Nothing can really refer to another source for their own existence. No, I am not created by the creator of the universe, but I am created by something else. It was given existence and put in the position of the content of the whole universe, perfectly arranged, perfectly located, and put in action in my existence. Nothing can show another source than the one who created the universe. So we means everything in the universe. We declare this. We worship you, we acknowledge you, and we present all our feelings, happiness, desires, maybe unhappiness, our sadness, whatever we dislike, we address him. I don't like this. You gave me the sense not to like it. Please remove it from me. Again, my addressee is the one who created the universe, my addressee. And we say, you alone, we seek help. It means whatever we need, only you can satisfy it. Of course, within the universe, only the creator of the universe satisfies me through creating a means, because the universe is his property. For example, if I go to a rich man and ask him, please feed me, I'm hungry, you have something. Of course, he presents some of his property to me and says, here is the food I have to offer you. So this is how the communication takes place between two people as well. I have to ask this person, and this person will provide me with the means of help to satisfy my need. So the Creator, in my relationship with the Creator, if I say, please God, cure my illness, my sickness, he presents a means to cure it. That's how the relationship between me and my Creator takes place when I say, you alone, we seek help. And it means, please create something for me. I need a means to satisfy my need. How it is to, how this relationship takes place is another matter, but we know that this is the necessity of the requirement of human consciousness. We have to establish this. So the text says, as beautifully summarized by the friends joined to the discussion and also moderator, there is a relationship between you alone we worship and from you alone we seek help, and in the name of God, the merciful to compassionate. In the name of God, the merciful to compassionate is the index of you alone we worship, this expression, إِيَّاكَ نَعْبُدُ وَإِيَّاكَ نَسْتَعِينُ. And this إِيَّاكَ نَعْبُدُ وَإِيَّاكَ نَسْتَعِينُ is also the index, the summary, the core teaching of the chapter Fatiha. And also the text says, chapter Fatiha, which means the small chapter, which is called among the students of the Qur'an as the heart of the Qur'an. So the heart of the Qur'an is also the index of the Qur'an. Well, Qur'an is a 600 something pages of a book. So I cannot really remember everything in it, and I cannot really recall all the teachings at the same time, but I need an index, the core teaching, to remind me the whole teaching of the Qur'an, the speech of my Creator, who guides me how to communicate with him, how to carry on, practice my life on earth. So the summary of the Quran is the chapter Fatiha. The summary of the chapter is you alone we worship, إِيَّاكَ نَعْبُدُ وَإِيَّاكَ نَسْتَعِينُ. And the summary of إِيَّاكَ نَعْبُدُ وَإِيَّاكَ نَسْتَعِينُ is Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Of course, we understand in the name of God definitely refers to you alone. And in the name of God, what? Well, whatever comes into existence, whatever the quality I can interact with, I can observe in the universe, everything is happening out there, realized within the context of the universe in the name of the one who gave existence to it. You see that the relationship between you alone we worship and in the name of God, and you alone we seek help also included in it. But the summary of the summary of the summary, index of the index of the index, has something else which is important to notice: the merciful to compassionate, because it is human being nature that we are created with this nature, that we can acknowledge and lovingly have a relationship with our source through his mercy, his compassion to us. That's why from the very young age, from the stage of our life as a baby, our attachment to our mother, we see the manifestation of mercy and compassion in the being of the mother. So because of this compassion, because of her compassion, her mercy, we attach ourselves to her, when we keep loving her, respecting her. I mean, during the adolescent ages, we start detaching ourselves from our mother's parents, but later on we come to the right track and say, oh, it was my pain of detachment from my parents. This pain causes a lot of troubles. Everybody knows that during these adolescent ages, we have some troubles. I went through it. I acknowledge, and I remember doing lots of nonsense things during that time. But now I settled down, I understood, that was the pain of detachment from my parents. It means really detaching ourselves from mercy and compassion is really painful. So we see the whole creation through the lens of mercy and compassion. We communicate with our Creator and acknowledge that the Creator is not only my Creator, but also the Creator of everything, every quality, whatever I can see in the universe which exists. So anytime, every time, in order to remember the whole guidance of the Creator in a nutshell, I should acknowledge this truth by saying Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim, in the name of God, the Merciful, the Merciful and the Compassionate. Why? Because I can see this reality in my life, and also I can feel the need to communicate with Him. I think this phrase is the perfect means of communication with my Creator, as if my mind, my feelings is sent to the, if you like, to use the phrase of the Qur'an, the throne of my Creator, authority of my Creator, ownership of my Creator, acknowledging that everything comes into existence only to declare your oneness, perfectness, your unity. The question was divine oneness. That is how we practice divine oneness. Otherwise, it would remain only an intellectual conclusion saying that there must be a Creator, but I have nothing to do with it. And in my relationship with my environment, the other creatures, I say, okay, I can see this and I can benefit from it, or I really shun away from it because it is harmful for me. As if the old relationship is taking place between me and the rest of the universe, independent of its Creator. This is not the reality that we experience in this world. That's why we all need to use Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim in order to remind us what the truth we observe in the creation. That's why Qur'an keeps saying that we created the universe with truth in order to declare what the reality, what the truth is. Just to show you what the reality is, not to let you be misled by wrong ideas or wrong concerns. Give a direction to your life, it means. You must be sure what you are doing, you must be sure of what you are doing, and your existence, of your existence as well. You must be sure of your existence, and you must admit the source of your existence by referring your existence to the divine oneness, to the Creator of the universe. Thank you.
Alhamdulillah, thank you, Brother Ali, for adding the part about communication, that everything that in the universe we see as, we have to see at least, you know, that they're communicating, you know, because it attracts us, all these qualities, all this mercy. That's how the human beings operate in this world, that there is a communication, but not, we are enabled not to leave that communication only one way. So we have to, we must, this is how the Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim is prompting us, is encouraging us to communicate with the true source of existence. I mean, this source is not something that is inaccessible, but is very much accessible, because the communication is nonstop. It's coming to every being in the universe. And my purpose, my duty, my, you know, what my human side tells me is to respond back, is to communicate and see that, hey, yes, you are my Lord, you are my owner, my source of existence, and I belong to you. I am being given, treated by your mercy, by your compassion. And as Brother Ali, alhamdulillah, beautifully summarized also how he understood the index in terms of how this Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim is taken as a reminder for us, you know, into the fundamental core concept teaching of what the guidance or what our source of existence is trying to communicate to us. And we can always refer through this as, you know, how the summary, where it puts us back into our reality and our, how, what we are in as created beings in this universe, take us back to our source of existence. And my friend Faria wants to add some things. Please go ahead, Faria.
No, just to add on to what you're sharing in terms of guidance, it seems that I'm always in need of guidance, regardless of whatever stage and age or conditions of my life I'm in. Every moment I'm in need of guidance. And now the way whatever was shared, even the author presenting the case makes it very clear how, you know, we just need to have this relationship with the source of existence through creation. And so that's how we communicate with the source of our existence. And it seems as if I'm being guided on how to cultivate this relationship with the source of my existence through creation. So just like both of you said, just wanted to reiterate it in some different wordings. Thank you.
Thank you, Fariha. Anybody else who would like to add or share their reflections on this topic? Because the last two phrases of this paragraph of the fourth mystery, the person who clasps or holds on to this, you know, this summary or this index is able, and who makes, the person has to make this interpreter speak. Because as Brother Ali was saying, it's not just something intellectual, hey, I'm concluded it and then I have nothing to do with it, but then I have to make this speak, and it has to talk to my human side. That is how I will uncover the mysteries of divine mercy. So my human being is the one that is able to understand, you know, my position and realize, you know, enjoy and get that communication going on from the universe to back to the source of the universe, from the act in the universe to the actor of that, whatever I experience in the universe. So inshallah. So I see there is no hand yet for a Saturday morning, I guess everybody's warming up, inshallah. So the communication, as we see, has to be two-way. So that would be great if you can hear some reflections from the friends here. All right, so otherwise we can move on to the fifth mystery. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Okay, so I see there is a hand up before we move on. So somebody wants to share their feelings. Go ahead, Ishbeza, please. We want to hear you.
Assalamu alaikum. You know, it's not really anything new, but I guess I just want to share what attracted my attention from what's been read and discussed. And that is when I look at myself, you know, I'm constantly going through different states of being, always in some sort of emotion internally. And in that state of motion, there's always, I guess my human consciousness requires meaningfulness or some sort of communication or some way to make sense of what is going on. And so you know, what attracted my attention here was the sense of needing to be in communication at every single moment, and this being this sort of communication being open to me through the path or the vein of mercy and compassion, through the divine mercy and seal of divine compassion, as the text says. So in a way, I guess it's like, you know, if I do address myself and am truthful to myself, especially of all perhaps other qualities, I feel in need of these, you know, I feel in need of compassion. It's like something that attracts my attention more than other things, I guess. So it, in a way, it directly fits with this need within me. And so then Bismillah becomes, or in the name of God, becomes a way of, I guess, as with like the summary within a summary within a summary, an easy way to essentially shift the way in which I am addressing myself in that moment. So if I undergo a certain experience or I'm feeling a certain way, then through this phrase, I can essentially change the way in which I'm interacting with myself and that experience by having the phrase act as a reminder, or essentially as a reminder of my own reality, both internally and externally, I guess. And so it becomes, I don't know, I found it very fitting. And also the way in which I experienced this to be also a form of mercy and compassion. Not only am I finding mercy and compassion in the way I interpret things or am able to interpret things, but the way in which they are made a compassion or mercy to me is also merciful, if that makes sense. So it becomes like mercy within mercy within mercy. And I found that very fitting. Thanks.
Thank you for sharing that, Ishbeza. Yeah, as you said, the mercy within mercy within mercy, the way our being is set up, the universe is set up. As you say, that, you know, is kind of shifts the consciousness, because we are looking for meaning, and there is meaning in the universe, but this is how our being, you know, the meaning is is the mercy part that there is there, and then my consciousness is also the mercy, and then my need to read the meaning and then respond and interact with that meaning. This is how this beautiful setup is there. Thank you for highlighting that. And there is a hand up from Farha. Please go ahead, Farha.
Assalamu alaikum, and thank you for your summaries, comments, and patience. Hopefully a brief comment. I was sort of wondering on this question, we often talk about it, as we did today, that the ultimate purpose of our existence is to acknowledge and then to get to know our source of existence and divine speech and this universe all being a message and a guide to help us get to know this source of existence. And a very basic sort of objection to it is like, why do I need to know this creator or who he is? Like, I think to myself, like, isn't it just okay knowing that, there exists something? And do I actually feel the need to get to know it, like to get to know more about it, who he is, it is, it's sort of this continuous desire, or do I feel that this continuous desire is actually mine, or is it just something that I am learned from others and I've accepted it for myself? And so in thinking more about it, I was wondering, like, for example, like if, let's say, you get a gift or a message from someone, like we do on computers, for example, and let's say you find out that this message is from actually a robot, or like it's an automated message. You get the message and you actually pay no further attention to, you have no further desire really to follow up on this message, reply to this message, because between you and this robot, there's really nothing in common. When I mean nothing in common, I mean, for us as human beings, we are looking for an attachment. And as it was discussed, this attachment to our mothers reminds us of our relationship to them, our sort of, our relationship to them. And so if I find out this message is from a robot, I feel no sense of relationship or attachment, because I find no sense of conscious, there's no opportunity for a conscious connection to it. But let's say the same message comes from an individual. In that case, we find ourselves curious to get to know who this individual is, perhaps reply to it, because we owe it a reply. Coming from a live human being, we feel the need that we need to reply to it, otherwise it becomes disrespectful or it is not the norm. Similarly, when it comes to the creator, I'm thinking that because it is conscious, and it happens also to be, not happens, but must be the source of my consciousness. I think this conscious connection sparks in me the desire to get to know it. If this creator wasn't conscious, I don't know if I would have felt the desire to get to know it. And if I was, and this consciousness, I guess, creates a feeling of attachment that sort of propels me in this constant desire, or as it's said here, go through the levels of getting to know it. And I find myself that when I am not consciously engaging with my existence, I also find it painful in that moment, because I lack a sense of purpose in that time. And that if that ultimate purpose is to get to know one's source of existence, without a conscious attachment, I do feel the pain of meaninglessness. So basically, question and an answer to, you know, the question being, is this desire to get to know my creator really, where is it coming from, and is it actually true? And can I not just be satisfied by knowing that he exists? So that was just a thought, question and an answer to myself, I guess. Thank you.
Thank you for sharing that in terms of, you know, how we can get to know who our source of existence is. As you also mentioned about the levels of divine mercy. I mean, the example, interesting example you chose about the robot, and, you know, in generally that example, you know, it shows that there is no feelings or consciousness, because the robot is taught by whoever has made that or designed it. But in the creation, whatever we are interacting with, if we realize, you know, what kind of being, you know, everything that is being presented to us, whether it be a bird chirping or a baby, you know, singing, it shows that there is some source that is that must be absolute. So it, and this, all the qualities that I'm interacting with, I expect those qualities to be, you know, in the absolute sense in that source, because I'm seeing the sample reflected manifested qualities, and that is how I would communicate with that being. I think if we go into the fifth mystery, it touches upon that also. I feel, as I see that, as Brother Ali has highlighted, that fifth mystery. So I think we will go into that, and we can, you know, you guys can share your comments as well, and see how this communication is happening with a conscious source of existence who is purposefully, you know, entertaining you, making you comfortable while you're here in this world, with all, you know, introducing you to all these qualities that are being, you know, every individual, every being is experienced. And if the things that we are not really enjoying, you know, we are seeking that particular source again to, you know, hey, you are the source of that existence, so please make me, you know, realize your presence and made me appreciate you and get connected with you and, you know, seek refuge in you. So Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim, the fifth mystery.
There is a comment.
Oh yeah, thank you, Brother Ali. So there is a comment from H. Beza, which is, meaningfulness requires consciousness and vice versa. So yeah, that, I think that makes perfect sense, that with the, you know, when there is meaning, it shows that there must be a conscious source, and if there's a conscious source, then it must be the source of meaning, because they go together hand in hand. And if H. Beza, you would like to add to this, please, you know, raise your hand and go for it. This is, you know, I think that's where you were pointing at. If you want to highlight a little bit more, talk to it on it. Yep, go ahead.
Yeah, I guess very, very briefly, not that there's much left to say, at least for me, but I think along the lines of what Farah was sharing before about, you know, having this sort of, you know, or do I find myself with the need to get to know him? And this, I guess, to the extent that I feel the need for meaningfulness in my life as a conscious being, then necessitates that, you know, that there be some sort of consciousness behind my existence as well. And likewise, when I look at the way that things are being brought into existence, because of the way that they are being brought into existence, I can conclude that there must be a conscious being behind it, and that this way in which they come into existence is then meaningful, and then just kind of finding my role or place within that sort of equation, and establishing or not hindering myself from being a part of being conscious of this deliberate meaningful existence that I'm also being brought into, that I'm being brought into existence with, if that kind of makes sense.
Yeah, that makes sense. Thank you, H. Beza. Brother Ali, would you like to go ahead?
Just one additional aspect. This, if something is meaningful, that's what we are, that's why we are communicating with the universe. We understand that there is consciousness behind our existence, my existence and the existence of the rest of the world. And this necessitates, as far as I can tell from my own nature of existence, that consciousness, meaningfulness points to consciousness, and consciousness requires communication, interaction. Consciousness requires interaction. So we have to interact with our creator and acknowledge his existence, acknowledge his mercy, his compassion, acknowledge his wisdom, acknowledge his purpose in creating us. And the summary of this communication is presented to us in the teachings of the scripture as Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. I wanted to add another third dimension to it. It was beautiful. Thank you.
Indeed, thank you, Brother Ali. So meaning requires consciousness, and consciousness necessitates that we communicate with whoever is presenting that meaning to us. Alhamdulillah, I think that clears the case, and I'll give a few seconds if anybody has any more comments or wants to say anything, and then we can move on to the fifth mystery. Yes, let's do it. Bismillah. There is a hadith which goes something like this. God created man in the form of the most merciful. Interesting hadith. God created man in the form of the most merciful. So this hadith has been interpreted by some group of Sufis in an extraordinary way, unfitting for the tenets of belief. Unfitting for the tenets of belief. Some of them who were ecstatics even considered man's spiritual nature to be in the form of the all-merciful. Okay, so immersed in, in nature be in the form. Since ecstatics are mostly immersed in contemplation and confused, they are perhaps to be excused in holding views contrary to reality. But on consideration, people in their right senses cannot accept ideas of theirs that are contrary to the fundamentals of belief. If they do, they are in error. Indeed, the most pure and holy deity who administers with order the whole universe as though it were a palace or a house, and spins the stars as though they were particles, and causes them to travel through space with wisdom and ease, and employs minute particles as though they were orderly officials, has no partner, match, opposite, or equal. So too, according to the meaning of the verse, there is nothing whatever like unto him, and he hears and sees all things. There is nothing whatever like unto him, and he hears and sees all things. This is from the Qur'an, chapter 42, verse 11. Yeah, and so this, let me just continue and then we can always come back to this. So this verse, there is nothing whatever like unto him, and he hears and sees all things. So the author says he has no form, like or peer, and there is nothing resembling him or similar to him. So let's maybe discuss a little bit what, the author is introducing this hadith. God created man in the form of the most merciful, and of course we need to understand this within the fundamentals of belief, as the author states that anybody who is aware, conscious, is not disillusioned or not lost in some imagination kind of imaginary ideas, but is aware and consciously thinking and reflecting, but within the bounds or the fundamentals of belief. So what is that fundamentals of belief? Right, so accept ideas of theirs that are contrary to the fundamentals of belief. So in this particular mystery, it seems that there can be a confusion with the word form, that God created man in the form of the most merciful, and then one can start imagining, what that, if this is the form I have, then what kind of form must be the most merciful one. So that kind of understanding or that kind of reasoning kind of falls out of the fundamentals of belief, I would say. That's how at least the author is pointing out as he brings in the verse that, first he shows that, hey, look at the universe. That's important to notice also, that in his presentation, the author shows that, hey, look, what is the source that is administering the whole universe? Do you see that? That source, if you can understand, must not be of the nature of that universe, because everything is easy and, it's just, easily and gracefully being administered by this source, like all the mentions the spinning of the stars, like these huge stars and planets that we see, and with ease, their movements and their rotations are being, administered and controlled. And same thing with the whole universe, with whatever we see happening, the order that is in place, that is being, displayed to us, it is just working with much ease. So what kind of source? And even there's the stars as particles, like huge for us, we can imagine that these are huge things, the stars, but they are being, for the one who is administering them, they're just like as if they're particles. It highlights the point that it is with such ease and harmony that this whole universe is being administered. And there's a comment from Suhail about the operative word is created. Thank you, Suhail, for that. So everything that we are observing in the universe, its existence or the way they are coming into being must be coming from a source, that they are created beings. That's why in the verse it says God created man, but in the form of the most, of the most merciful, the hadith, sorry. God created man in the form of the most merciful, that is highlighted. So the created part is something that we need to pay attention to. Thank you, Sohail, for that. And there's another comment from Farha: the attribute of most merciful is manifested or displayed in man and not a part of man. Thank you, Farha, for that also. So whatever the qualities that we are engaging with, or we are seeing, for instance, the most merciful, it is coming to us, it is as a reflective kind of quality. It is not that we are getting a piece or a part of, let's say, of that one, the source, who is the source of that quality. So if, for example, if I cut an apple, I get a piece of that, but that's a physical part of it. But the quality is not something that is, you know, if I speak, you know, I'm talking, but it's not my physical body. Nothing of my physical body is coming out in the speech or in the words that are being declared. So yeah, thank you for that comment also. So the one who is, you know, the most merciful for us, we are seeing that reflective quality, but we can conclude and see that there must be a source of this particular reflection of quality or this manifestation that must be absolute. And I will pause here and give it to Suhail. Suhail, please go ahead, take it away.
I know it's almost out of time, but the hadith is very interesting when it says, you know, one created, but form. And so one has to examine one's form to know who most merciful is, or what is sort of the merciful aspect of one's existence. So if you begin with one's form, you're to begin with, you have sort of that existence has an essence, you know, our human sort of spirit, and that spirit has a consciousness, and that consciousness has, or I guess has life, and that life has consciousness, and that consciousness has innumerable qualities of which can communicate with everything around it in the universe and beyond the universe to that individual's creator. That is the demonstration of most merciful within man's form. By looking at one's form, does he see how mercy is being manifested? And there can be nothing more merciful than that, to be given existence and a human spirit in which there is life and consciousness and innumerable qualities and the ability to think, feel, reason, communicate. No one would want those taken away. But as he points out, if you think about them to be, you know, if you don't see it for how they are, you sort of mistake yourself to think that that is mercy in and of itself, almost to say like, but rather than just being given, bestowed. And that's, you know, one, if you reflect on, you know, Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim, you sort of realize how you're sort of formed in a way and fashioned in a way to know him through your own self and through the universe, as he points out, because the universe in a way is so it's just like a reflection of man, and see the same thing in the form of others, in the palace of the whole universe, the stars spinning, the particles moving with ease, and you realize that this mercy is proceeding from a most merciful source beyond the nature of the universe, because things, including man, has no role or has no choice, role, power in his own sort of being, nor in the existence of other things. So that's what I, you know, took away from the hadith. And then obviously the verse, the famous verse, there's nothing whatever likened unto him, and he hears and sees all things. Or I guess it's, and he is all hearing and all seeing, sort of further reiterates that point. Because, you know, in your sort of interaction or communication with the universe and with yourself, you're employing your senses, you know, hearing and seeing. Those are the two most primary senses that you sort of communicate through with other beings and other creatures, in the way in which you can appreciate the demonstration of his mercy in their existence.
Thank you, Suhail, for this teaser introduction to what we're going to study, inshallah, next week. As I see the time is up for that. And the fifth mystery, as you highlighted, the form is in terms of how the qualities that a human being has to look into himself or herself and see what those qualities are, and then relate that, and especially the soul and the consciousness, and employ those qualities to get to know who the absolute source must be. And then we will have to, I think, stop here for today, inshallah, and we will revisit this and review this, because it is, I think it's an interesting and amazing topic that we have to understand, what this hadith means and what it means for the human being to be given a particular form, and how that points to what our conclusion will be in terms of how do we employ all this, our consciousness and our senses, to realize what our source of existence is or must be. So thank you, everyone. I appreciate everybody's comments and suggestions and reflections. This was a wonderful discussion. Inshallah, we will continue next week. So I will do the closing prayer. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Subhanaka la ilma lana illa ma 'allamtana innaka anta alimul hakim. Wa akhiru da'wahum alhamdulillahi rabbil alameen. Al-Fatiha.
Thank you for the participations, comments, and also moderation. Thank you very much. Inshallah, I'll see you next. We will meet again on Monday and next Saturday following. And this seems to be very exciting subject that we are going to deal with next Saturday. Why man is created in the most merciful form. Of course, we just warmed up, started off the subject, and it seems to be related to Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim, which means in the name of God, the merciful, the compassionate. And man, the creation of man, is going to play a fundamental role in this communication between the created beings and the creator. So it must have, the human beings must have a perfect capacity. I think that's a very interesting subject, because every one of us must know which capacities we are created with, what capacities we are created with, and our position within this communication between the universe and its creator, where we are located in it. It seems to be an interesting subject, and inshallah we are going to pray to Allah, to God, to guide us to the right understanding of this beautiful hadith narration. Thank you. Inshallah, I'll see you next Saturday, coming Monday, and next.
Inshallah, thank you, everyone. Assalamu alaikum.
Assalamu alaikum.